everybody, it's Candice from Phoenix Belly Dance, and with me I have the beautiful Aziza. So we've got a fantastic interview with questions submitted by Kiwi dancers.
You don't know if it's fantastic yet.
It's going to be amazing, just wait. So we've already spent 10 days together and it's been amazing. We had the retreat in Auckland to begin with, and we've just come back from Christchurch last night, and it was just the most spectacular few days that I've had in my belly dance life. And a lot of the dancers, I'm sure, are very excited to hear a bit more about Aziza and who she is. So here we go.
Hit me.
Woo! So the first section is questions just about who you are and how you got started. And our very first question is, can you share a bit about your beginnings, when and how you were exposed to Oriental dance, and of your career leading up to now?
Wow. Might be here all day, but I'll try to make it the Reader's Digest condensed version. I started with ballet when I was 3 years old, so I had a lot of dance already. The first time I was aware of Middle Eastern dance, I think, was from a James Bond movie.
Really?
Yes.
That's very cool. Which one? I've been rewatching them, that's why.
It's
one of the
I
third or
remember
fourth
what the
ones.
dancer
Yeah?
looked like, but I don't remember the name of the movie. She was wearing a red costume.
I know the one, and a bit of gold.
Yes.
It was a gold
Yes.
jubilee, yeah.
Yes.
I know the one.
And then there were some family friends, and their daughter was taking belly dance, and I remember her talking about going to a belly dance competition. She was 11, and I remember just being so curious. What is this really about? But I was a ballerina. I was very serious about ballet at the time. After that, after I graduated from high school and I was ready to go to college, I gave up being a ballerina, and I went to school to be an interpreter for the deaf. I was going to do sign language, yes. But I didn't like it because I wasn't dancing anymore. Yes. So I ended up, I'm really condensing the story, but I ended up going to Hawaii for spring break, and I didn't come home. I dropped out of school.
Okay.
And I was 18 and looking to find myself and who I was and what was important to me. And I started dancing again when I was in Hawaii. I took some hula and some Tahitian.
Yeah.
And I realized that it was dance that I was missing. So I went back to the States, and I had a friend of mine that wanted to take a belly dance class, and that's how I took my very first class. And I was 20 years old when I started. Yes. And the music was the first thing that drew me in. Because I had a very strong dance background already, I picked up on things very quickly. And I started dancing professionally, actually, less than 6 months after my first class. Yes. Didn't know what I was doing. But I kind of had the opportunity to learn on the job because I was lucky enough to work with live musicians in clubs and dancing at a lot of weddings. So I was around the culture a lot. And after this, I started dancing, and then I was requested to teach. And then I won some competitions, and then I was asked to tour. So that's it, all in a nutshell. Aziza.
Okay. One time. Okay. So, what was your first big break?
I've had a lot of amazing opportunities. You know what I think it is? It's a perfect storm of things that happen. I was passionate about dance, and I happened to put myself in certain places where I was recognized, but I was ready. So it's luck. A lot of it is luck, but it was preparation, and I was prepared for the opportunity, I think. I traveled, the first big break, I think it was when I decided to do some competitions. That's when I started to get recognition. I was asked to be in an IMED show after I won those competitions. That show was called Rockin' the Casbah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you won 3 big competitions.
I won 3 big competitions. Yes, I did. I worked very hard that year.
Yes.
I was asked to be in Rockin' the Casbah. I was put on the cover of that, and that went all over the world.
Famous picture.
Yes. And then I was asked by Hollywood Music Center to do a DVD featuring me, and that was the first one that they did. That was Aziza Rocks.
Yes.
And their marketing also made it go all over. So I think those were the two big breaks that I had, and they were just people who trusted me, that brought me to teach workshops, and it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
Snowballed from there.
Okay, and right, so just a quick question about what has been your most memorable experience so far?
Oh, I've had so many. Like I could just talk about just this last week. It's true. And getting a onesie at the retreat, that made me so happy.
It's
Honestly.
a giraffe onesie, so you know, there might be a picture flying around Facebook.
Oh Lord. Okay, I have been so blessed that I get to go all over the world, and so I have many, like I pinch myself a lot. I'm still surprised at the places that know who I am and invite me to come and dance. I feel very, very lucky. If I was, let's see, oh, I have a lot of crazy experiences. You've been hearing my stories. Like,
I have.
Yes.
Very entertaining stories.
I had an amazing experience that was really personally meant a lot to me. That happened with Mathew Greta.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this story.
Oh my God, it's kind of a long story, but it was pretty amazing. Well, okay, I'll just tell it very quickly. Very, very early in my career, I was dancing at a club, and a promoter brought Mathew Greta in, and I went and took the workshop, and there was a show involved with the workshop. Oh God, I'm going off topic. Anyway,
Yeah.
the promoter ended up bringing Mathew Greta to come and see me dance at the nightclub that I danced at.
Oh wow.
I know.
Oh
Can you
my
imagine?
goodness.
Yes.
You must have been like must have been like when you came and
But
watched me
I
at
will
the
be-
restaurant on Friday night.
Come on, you did beautiful. I'll be really honest though, it was so early in my career that I wasn't fully, I knew that he was an important person, but you know, I didn't have a full recognition of who he was,
Okay.
a full appreciation of who he was. I knew he was important, but I didn't know necessarily why. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he came, and he watched me perform with my band in the club. Cut to maybe 12 years later, and it was my first time teaching in Egypt. And at the event, I had taught a couple workshops, and Mathew Greta was coming in to teach some workshops at the same event. And so when he arrived, we all sat down and had tea, all of the teachers. And he was introducing himself and finding who everybody was. And I said, my name is Aziza, and I'm from Oregon. And he was looking at me, and he says, have I seen you before? And I said, yes, but it was so long ago. It was 12 years earlier, give me a break. And he said, red costume. He had taped me when I danced, and I was in his archives. I know. Tell me about it. I could not, number one, believe that he remembered me, and then number two, remember the color of costume, and then number three, that he had videotaped me, or taped me when I was dancing. I know. I went back to my room and like sobbed, because I was so nervous about teaching as a,
Yeah.
I was
In
nervous
Egypt?
about going to Egypt anyway. I thought they would chase after me with pitchforks.
Fraud!
Fraud! But to have that, and since then we've worked together, and it's always wonderful to see him.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was probably the most acknowledgement, all right, kid, you're doing okay.
Yeah. That's a great story. Yeah, I would say that would be a pretty good one to be the most memorable experience. Okay. So we have some questions from our local Kiwi dancers. From Rachel Lindy, who is currently performing and teaching, or performing in Egypt at the moment. So she wanted to know, what advice would you give belly dancers wanting to get famous, or more modestly put, make a name for themselves?
Well, it depends on how you want to do it. You know, like what is your goal? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to be famous for?
Well, she's a performer, so thinking about her perspective, she's a great teacher as well. I've hosted her for workshops, but she loves performing. So I would guess her point of view would be, as a performer, what would be the best thing to do to make a name for yourself?
Well, I think that what she's doing is right now in her career is a very unique and special experience. And if she has, the first thing that comes to my mind for her specifically, I'm not going to talk like about any dancer that wants to make a name for themselves, but for her specifically, the fact that she is going through this very unique experience, if she has any aspirations of writing, if she can document what she's doing, and if she can submit this to the publications that have for dancing, and think of outside of her area, like there's Gilded Serpent, or putting together something for a magazine in the US, or magazines in Australia, or magazines, because if you get a really good promo picture and you have something interesting to say and you say it well, being published is a way to establish your name. For myself, the way that I did it was through competition, but that's not for everybody. I know that people didn't know who I was outside of my little area, and I did competitions. And from the competitions, it turned into people inviting me to go to places. But I was also in a unique position, timing-wise, that it was the very beginning of the internet. So the fact that I was, there, and there weren't very many other dancers to find on the internet, it kind of allowed me to go to places that, right? And now the internet has exploded, so it's harder to be recognized, right? In such a prolific, there's so much on the internet. So what I did was that I did pay with my own money to travel. It's like, if you want to be seen, if you want to be on the circuit, like teaching workshops, then you need to be seen on the circuit. People have to see you. And recognizing that, like any other business, networking is a really good way to do that. And so networking and traveling to big festivals, having something to offer when you get there, something that's unique, that resonates with an audience, it's like you have to be prepared and then put yourself in a situation where you'll be seen.
I think she'll like it. So I have a question here from Sophie Kalima, who's one of my troop members. She's a really funny little lady. I love her to bits. She'd like to know what your favorite flavor cookie is. Having milk and cookies with Aziza would be awesome.
I'm sorry that I missed the opportunity. Happy milk and cookies with Sophie, is that her name?
Sophie, yes.
Well, Sophie, I like all cookies. Just about. I like a good gooey chocolate chip cookie. Yes, I think that's classic.
Yeah,
maybe boring, but I like it when they're warm and a little gooey. I don't like crunchy ones.
Really?
Yes.
I'm sure that Sophie will be very happy, because I know for a fact that she loves chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so Siobhan Milner, who you've met this weekend, asks, what is your favorite belly dance performance that you've seen?
These are kind of hard questions.
The cookie one particularly.
I have to say, I've seen some really spectacular performers, and I get dance crushes on dancers that I discover in festivals that I hadn't necessarily heard about, and then I get obsessed with them and I watch all their videos, because I am a fan like everybody else. Like, I like to be moved, and I think that, let's see, there's a dancer from New York named Elena Lentini. There's not a lot about her on the internet. She hasn't been videotaped very much. She's in an older generation than I am, but there's been a couple of performances that I've seen of her that have moved me to tears.
Really?
Yes. She's so brave on stage. She's somebody that can be absolutely vulnerable.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's one. One of my other favorite dancers is a dancer you've met when you were in Turkey, Claudia.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's also not as well known, but she's the dancer that danced at my wedding.
Beautiful.
Yes, and I love how she dances. And those are the two that stand out.
Yeah.
I mean, I have dance crushes on, other dancers but seeing live, I think those are the two.
Okay, so we have a question from Lisa Lawford, and she asked, and this was submitted before your trip, but she said, what are you most looking forward to in New Zealand? So maybe we'll reverse the question around and say, what have you most enjoyed about your trip to New Zealand?
Those are two different things, though.
Okay.
I was looking forward to hanging out with you again. I liked meeting you in Turkey. I was excited to see what your whole situation was here, because I got a really good feeling about you in Turkey, and I was really excited to just kind of see what you had created here. Yes. So I was anticipating that, because there was a lot of things that just felt really good. I love the poster. I thought you made me look great. And you were very organized, and I like to go places where people, I feel like they're excited that I'm coming, and that felt really good. And then once I was here, I had a lot of fun at the retreat. I felt like I could, it was work, it was a lot of work, it was tiring, but I felt like I could kind of relax and be goofy a little bit there. Which I'm sure you'll see on any other video that she puts out. What else? I thought New Zealand was beautiful. The cabin was different. That was a highlight. And the luging. And just laughing with you. I enjoyed this very much. Playing cards. That was good.
That was good.
Traveling all the time sometimes can get lonely a little bit, but I wasn't lonely on this one at all.
Good, I'm glad we can do it. Okay. So Lynette, who was at the retreat as well, she asks, what is your go-to piece of music or style of music when you're looking for inspiration?
Yeah, music is, it's a tricky one. I'm always looking for new music, and especially when you do this for a living and you have to be kind of prolific with choreographies, and you have to find music that you're going to teach to other people, you're always on the lookout for good music. And I'm terrible. I don't know if I want to admit this.
Here we go.
But since I do get the opportunity to travel a lot and be in a lot of shows, if somebody's dancing to music that I think is fantastic, then I'll say, where'd you get this? Who was this?
I think we all do that.
Yes. And then I try not to steal the exact song, but if it's a good CD, there might be something else on the CD or from that artist or something like that. So, yes.
Yeah, I find
Shameless.
the artist name. No.
And people do that to me all the time, so I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, once you find a good artist or a good piece of music or a good CD.
I have found I've had some good finds on my own in Turkey recently. When I've gone to Turkey.
You've used some of them in your workshops?
Yes, in the warm-ups and some of the performances, just finding some really good stuff.
Yeah.
I go to macom.com and see what they have that's new. And Hollywood Music Center, I'm really lucky. They send me all their new releases as soon as it comes out, so sometimes I get lucky there. But I look everywhere I can for new music.
Yeah. Okay, so Farmer B, as she's known and loved.
Farmer B?
Farmer B.
Okay.
Her name is Beverly, and she's
the
from
one that does the honey?
Yes.
No.
She
Yes?
runs the farm down in Wellington. So she has Moon Jelly Belly Dance.
Okay.
And she also has Zippity Zoo. She's got like a split personality, but she's lovely. She's gorgeous.
All right.
So she asked the question, have you ever touched a sheep? But no, her serious question, so that's her first question, which I'm sure she wants an answer to, but seriously, what is it that stirred your soul and made you choose belly dance as your artistic, creative expression of yourself?
Okay. I have touched a sheep.
I know.
I've touched a sheep, but I have more experience with goats. Yes, I used to milk goats, so yes. But sheep, not as much, but I have touched one before. And your other question. I think that belly dance, I'm really happy that I discovered it because I did so much classical ballet growing up, almost 15 years classical ballet. I was really happy to find Middle Eastern dance, first of all because of the music, the variety of the music, but also because I was able to interpret the music the way I heard the music and felt it. In classical ballet, not only are you held to an impossible ideal, but you're doing always someone else's choreography and somebody else's vision. So the opportunity to be in control of my body and to interpret the music the way I felt was liberating to me, and I felt really lucky that I found that. Yeah.
Okay, Ishtar, who you met at the retreat as well, asked, who was your first teacher that you learned from? Who was your most influential teacher and why? And what age did injury start to affect you?
Okay.
Would you be planning to do your? What would you be planning to do with your creative dance ability? So I think what she means is, you know, when age and injury start to affect you, what will you be doing with your creative abilities?
Right. Okay. Oh boy, I have to go back. What was the first part?
First teacher, most influential teacher.
Okay. My first teacher was a woman named Ruby Souter. She's still teaching. And I was really lucky. She just had her, I don't know which birthday, I don't even know if I could say which birthday it was. I think it was her 80th or 75th birthday. 80th, I think. And I Skyped in and had sparklers and said happy birthday.
That's awesome.
That was my first teacher, Ruby Souter. She was from Vancouver, Washington. And I really do credit her for giving me my start, and really she pushed me to perform very early. She saw that I had something special, and one interesting fact about my first teacher is she owned a singing telegram business. So I worked for her doing singing telegrams for a year. I did. I have a lot of stories about that. Yes, I once worked as a dancing taco.
No, you didn't.
I did, in front of a Taco Bell.
Do you have photos?
I do not.
Oh.
But there are some photos out there of me dressed as Dolly Parton, I'm pretty sure. I did them for a year. I did singing telegrams.
Yeah.
And it was honestly really good experience for being spontaneous,
yeah,
and for reading a situation and being the best, positive thing for whatever situation you're putting. Being improv.
Every experience is a learning experience.
Yes. Okay, and then she asked about injury and aging. Wow, that's pretty heavy. Honestly, I feel pretty good about the direction that my career is going in. Like, I am fully aware that I'm not as young as I used to be, and I'm on the circuit, and I'm blessed to still be, that they still want me. But I'm still, what I have is, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm still relevant, yes. And I think I know I have something to offer. But I also know that I want to do this gracefully. And it's important to me to be somebody who is positive to the people that are coming up, and I want to fully and truly and honestly and completely authentically be somebody who supports the next generation. I want to be someone who helps and gives what I've learned to help the next generation of dancers. Yes, it's important to me. And I think, let's see what else, injury. I've been really lucky. I think taking care of my body, I've been okay. I've had injuries, but honestly they were when I was younger and reckless. And from not warming up and not stretching and that was when I had my issues. Now that I'm a little smarter. And yeah, so I'm really lucky with the injury department. I think that I would like to continue to teach and
at the reviews as well, asked, how long from when you started belly dancing could you tell yourself, I am a professional?
Well, it was pretty, I don't know if it's rare or unusual, or maybe this happens a lot, but I was dancing professionally within 3 or 4 months of my first class. I wouldn't recommend this at all. I had a lot of experience in dancing, but I feel that I was pushed out before I understood the dance and the culture that I was representing. I wouldn't necessarily encourage my path on other people, and that's why I want to be somebody who guides people. I'd rather be a mentor to let people know how to do it right, because I made a lot of mistakes when I first started. So I feel like I was a professional dancer. I was completely winning my living within a year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Really great.
When did I take it really seriously as my career? I would say about 10 years from when I started.
Really?
Well, making it a long-term
making it
career.
your business.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so Sui, who was at the Christ Church event, one of the trip ladies as well, what career path would you have followed if you hadn't become a professional dancer?
Well, originally, like I said, I went to school to be an interpreter for the deaf. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't dance, because I knew that wasn't for me. It was too much work. It was so difficult. I think what was difficult about interpreting is that you had to turn yourself off and become someone else's voice. And I had too much to say. So I'm not exactly sure what I would be doing. I don't know. I can't even imagine what I'd be doing if I wasn't dancing. I can't answer that question.
I think that makes you really
Sorry,
if
I
you tried
can't answer
something
that.
else, yeah. No, it's good. Well, Sui's a doctor, so she's living crazy, split lives, being a belly dancer
Wow,
and a doctor.
that is
and
insane.
Yeah, she's doing really well with it. Okay, so Tanya Bamford King, also at the retreat, asked, when and why did you make the transition from dancer to teacher? And do you see yourself primarily as one or the other, and do you get more satisfaction or joy from one or the other?
I started teaching 8 years after I started dancing.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to accept to teach. I had people asking me, and it just kind of organically started very small and then kind of grew. At first, I really identified myself more as a performer than a teacher, but I really fell in love with teaching after I started teaching. And now I would identify myself more as a teacher than a performer. I still love to perform. They're two completely different animals. Mm-hmm. Completely. Like one, you have to give so much of yourself, and the other is you accept. Well, there's still giving involved, but yes. I feel like it's completely different energies. But I get a lot of satisfaction from teaching. I think I get more satisfaction from teaching. Yes.
Me too. Okay. So those are all the questions that we got from all of our different dancers around New Zealand.
Yes.
And I think they'll be very happy to hear all of their questions answered. So I had a few final questions for you, and they are, what has been the toughest thing about being a professional belly dancer for you? Full-time traveling?
It's being away from home, being away from my family, being away from my husband. I think that's the hardest. Like, I love what I do and I feel really lucky, but I also really like being married. And my husband is incredibly supportive and incredibly patient. Yes.
We love you, Eric. Thank you for sending her to us. No, he's great.
Yes, I think that's just the traveling can be hard and long and lonely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're not belly dancing, what would you rather be doing?
Eating. No.
I know cooking might be.
I love to cook. Yes. I love to
have tasted the cooking, by the way, and it is fantastic.
I like to cook. I like to be home. Eric and I like watching documentaries together. Yeah. I like to read. Yes, you know, I'm lucky that my living is also my passion, so I'd have to say that dancing is my #1 hobby. for sure. But there's other things too. Yeah. I think that's all I can think of right now.
That's great.
Movies and food.
Movies and food, yeah. Good. My kind of dancer. Okay, what's the weirdest experience you've ever had being a belly dancer? The one that's PC, please. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, there's one. I was hired to dance as a surprise for a birthday at a big, huge food processing warehouse. And they had me wait, because I was a surprise, in a huge refrigerating unit that was the size of a warehouse amongst vats of macaroni salad and guacamole. And I was so cold, and I will never forget these huge like vats of mayonnaise, and I'm like, this is so weird, what am I doing here? Oh, and one time the singing telegrams, I was hired to be a gorilla to come in and dance around to yabba dabba 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 dabba, said the monkey to the chimp in a brew pub. Yes, and then after I did that, then this belly dance music came on, and it was Velcro, and I come out, and it's, and this is the funny part, I like fluffed my hair up and went, boom, fabulous belly dancer, and I hear 3 people go, Mandy? Ah! People from high school. They were in the, yeah.
No.
Yes, that was pretty funny. And let's see. And then there was one time that I danced at the World Deaf Timberfest for deaf lumberjacks. People who cut down trees, but they were all deaf.
That must have been pretty cool, actually.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
It was one of those, wow, this is a whole lot. I would never have. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one last question for you.
All right.
Here it is. If you could leave us with the most important message about our dancing and learning with you,
Oh my God.
what would you want it to be? What would you want us to take away from you?
All right. So I think the most important is to give yourself credit for the work that you've done, to be a compassionate witness to your dance, to be pleased but never satisfied. That's it.
I got the goosebumps. I got the goosebumps. And that was in some of our workshops, which is really great. So the message is definitely hit home for me, and I'm sure to many other dancers. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming all the way to our little old New Zealand. We were really, really lucky to have you here, and I can't say that I could have been more pleased with anything that's happened so far. It was just perfect.
I'm happy.
So thank you.
I had a great time. Everybody was so wonderful, and I hope, inshallah, maybe I can come back and see what happens after I sprinkled a little diseasiness.
It's all over New Zealand.
All right.
Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So thank you for watching, and I'm sure you'll hear from us again. Alright.